Having been in Sotogrande for so many years, but during holidays mostly, I don't think even back then I understood what a unique place this is, and what a unique group of people live here.
And to be honest, it's fun now that we have the staff to help us. It's fun to come in and be here and having the time to sit down with customers and have a conversation rather than running and just having the time to say hello and goodbye.
So what would Nonna Monda think if she walked in the door right now?
Oh, I think she would cry.
Yeah.
I think my mom said your grandmother would be very proud of what you achieved, and I truly think that. And there is something of her in here that reminds me of her every day.
Today I'm joined by Andrea Mesacasa and Peter Williams, the owners of Nonna Monda, the Italian delicatessen and small restaurant in Plaza Blanca. Nonna Monda is a very personal project inspired by Andrea's hospitality background and Peter's commercial experience. Together they have created a warm, authentic space built around Italian produce, simple food, breakfast, lunch and aperitivo culture, all brought into the heart of Plaza Blanca. We'll be talking about their journey to Sotogrande, why they chose to open the delicatessen and restaurant here, what it takes to launch a hospitality business here in Spain, and how Nonna Monda is becoming part of the local community. Andrea, Prita, thank you for having me here in your beautiful, beautiful place. I think it's really, really nice.
Thank you for coming.
And I'm sure there are many people in the community here who are dying to hear from you, although probably all of them know you by now. I think you've had a lot of things. But before we get into it, can you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you end up here in Sotogrande? I don't know who wants to go first.
Well, I guess Peter can...
It's probably my story.
Yeah.
I've had a house here in Soto for 24 years.
Right.
In 2000, I'd been on holiday with my family to Dubai, and I booked to go to Dubai again in 2001. And then 9/11 happened, and the last thing I wanted to do was take my children to the Middle East. And we booked our holiday through Holmes Property, believe it or not. And they obviously were renting villas.
Mm-hmm.
So we came for a week in October. The first day we got here, we drove down to Marbella. We couldn't get the rain off the windscreen because it was raining so hard. Everybody in England thinks it never rains in Spain. It was raining very, very hard. My wife said to me, isn't it funny, I could have been lying on a beach in Dubai and here I am in the rain in Spain. Anyway, that week I decided I'd go and look at houses. So I spent 2 days looking at houses.
Yeah.
Second day, I found a house that I liked. My wife didn't want a house overseas, but I took her to the 3 houses that I'd seen on one side of the road, which neither of us really liked. And we walked across the road to the house that we have today. She stood in the middle of the, looking over the golf course and said, if you want a house overseas, I want this one. So we bought the house.
In the F zone?
In the F zone. We're in Caia Phoenix.
Phoenix, okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So on the upper side?
We are literally, we have the golf course in front of us. We have free gardening, as we like to say. In actual fact, we have probably on the road, we have the biggest view over the golf course.
Right.
So that was really how I ended up in Sotogrande.
Right.
20 odd years before we even met. So.
Right. Fantastic. Andrea, tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, you are the you're the chef, you're the food guy, you are the and Peter the business guy. I gather. Is that right?
Exactly. Peter is more the front of the house, and I'm more the back of the house in the corner over there. But I've always worked in restaurants, and when I went to London 23 years ago, I stayed into hospitality, and I went from one restaurant to another.
Right.
And then I've opened an Italian deli in Twickenham.
Okay.
10 years ago, which has been an amazing journey. We've been there for 5 years, and then we've sold the business to move into something else. And then I met Peter. I met Peter in 2019. And then a few years later, we came to Sotogrande. We moved here, definitely for the summer. And, you know, I wanted to stay in the hospitality, and together we decided to do something, and we ended up opening Nonna Monda.
So you bring the experience of the I mean, it's a deli with, or is it a restaurant and a deli? I mean,
Well, it's a deli with a kitchen, I would say.
And was that the intention from the beginning? Because at the beginning there wasn't so much of the kitchen, I believe.
Well, I think we were very clear with everybody that we've never been a restaurant, and
Right.
we don't take bookings except for the table,
Yeah.
which we can talk about later. We don't take bookings, so we've never called ourselves a restaurant. We've been very clear that we're a deli. And with the deli, we kind of have three pillars of how we set the business up. The first thing is everything you see on the shelves. That's one of the pillars. The second pillar is all of the food and what I call the street food.
Why street food?
Well, because people come in and the things we're selling over the counter in food are mostly the focaccia romana sandwiches and the pasta that we do. So I kind of call it street food. It's things that people can grab and go, or they can stay and eat.
Yeah.
And then the third pillar is almost happened by mistake. The original plan for the inside of the shop, where we're sitting now, which is the sharing table that we have, was originally a display counter. And we spent quite a lot of money on the inside of the shop. And which is a story in itself, we worked with a Milanese architect who helped us design the store. And there was a bit of disagreement on the design when we started. Andrea wanted it's Nonna Monda. Andrea wanted it to be like his nonna.
I wanted to recreate my grandmother's kitchen.
Okay.
And Peter said, we can do it, but it needs to be slightly more elevated than your grandmother's kitchen.
Okay.
So then we came up with...
Yeah.
So we worked with this architect, and there's an amazing coffee shop, cake shop called Marchesi in Milan. It's the most beautiful coffee shop in the world, and I wanted us to have a touch of Marchesi as well as his grandmother's kitchen.
Right.
So that brings us to the third pillar, which is this table, which we switched out the display counter, and we brought in this table. And I don't think we knew when we opened how key this would be to our success.
Yeah.
Because the third pillar is that we do dinners in here around the table.
Right.
Obviously, it's used during the day, but the dinners are something different, where we dim the lights a little bit and create this atmosphere that you're eating in somebody's home. And we've had the most we've had at the table is 14 with an extension.
Oh, wow.
Which is a bit of a squeeze in here. But they're the three pillars of the business.
Right. And I know that works because we were due to do this yesterday, but you had a booking. We
did.
So we had to move it.
And we have, because we have one tomorrow.
We have one tomorrow,
Yeah. So is that taken off? I mean, you say you have a booking every week, every 4 or 5 a week?
Well, I think we go to 2 to 3 a week. And now going into the summer, I think it will be more and more popular because I think it's a format that works. People come and they have their little private dining into a nice space that we create, and you have food that we literally prepare here the night for them, and then they grab the bottles from the shelves and they just enjoy their evening. And so I think is...
Yeah, Peter, you knew Sotogrande for a long while, so you knew it when it was sleepy. Yeah, and it's sort of been waking up in the last, certainly after COVID. And so how much research did you do? I mean, did you just sort of say, let's just do it? Because Plaza Blanca was being developed. I suppose there was an opportunity to be one of the first, I suppose, in here. But you did bet a lot. I mean, we did. Yeah, because not many, establishments really sort of take off immediately.
Yeah, well, we were planning. The first thing we looked to do down the coast, we put a deposit down on a restaurant.
Oh wow!
And we were going to open a restaurant. Goodness knows what I was thinking. And we never got the operating license on the restaurant. So we took our deposit back and stepped away. And this all came about because we had been here for one summer. Oh, it was after that summer.
Yeah.
The following summer, we didn't do anything. We were here. We were at the house. We were having dinner. He was in the pool. I was on a sunbed. And I did think, I mean, I retired at the age of 60 in 2020, but here I was with a younger husband. At 40, he was spending his summer on a sunbed or in the pool. I just thought he needed a purpose, I think was what I said. I had absolutely no idea that giving him a purpose would give me a purpose as well. Brought me out of retirement. But we did. We came down here. I've seen I mean, I bought a piece of land in 2006, which in 2023 finally was above the level at which I paid for it in 2006.
I was about to say, you're 2 years too.
Yeah.
too
Well, I was in banking, so
All right.
I was
So,
I was
yeah.
heavily involved in the crash. Not that I caused it, but I was involved in it. So I knew how sleepy this was.
Yeah.
But we also realized when we came back after COVID, we realized it was a slightly different world, and people were here.
Yeah.
People were staying here throughout the winter, and people were living here.
Yeah.
We also could, I have friends here, and we knew the trajectory of the school, the number of parents that were here, and we were looking for somewhere. We then decided to do a deli, and because thank goodness we didn't do a restaurant, because a deli is hard enough. And we'd come down, we'd been introduced to Andrew, and we came and looked. And I've told this story a number of times. Andrew was at the time sort of changing a few window frames and doing a bit of paint work. The rest of it was all still covered in graffiti. And I said to Andrea, this place has been dead for 20 years. It's going to be dead for another 20 years. I just didn't believe it. And we kept coming in and driving around. Then we saw that Andrew had done the car park. We saw that Blondie had opened. Il Vicolo was open. I think there was hardly
Gems, they were there.
Yes,
they
the
were
Florida-
Quite a few
the first
businesses
ones.
So there were a
popping
few
up.
businesses popping up. And then we took a drive one day, and having seen what was going on, I said to Andrea, if we don't take a unit now, we probably won't get a unit.
Yeah.
And we met with Andrew. He took us to see an enemy's
Yes.
unit. And we said, that's just too small. We can't do anything in here. And then he called us that afternoon and said, I might have another unit for you. And we came down, we walked in, we took one look at it, said, okay, we'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether people listening on Spotify won't be able to see it, but on YouTube, you have this space here, the kitchen at the back, and do you have something below? There's a storeroom?
So downstairs we had the storage the first year. So when we opened, we just didn't develop the downstairs. This year we put a kitchen in downstairs.
Okay, that's where it is downstairs.
So now all the focaccias and everything is done here, but now we have a chef downstairs who
Yes.
prepares the pastas and
Yeah.
everything else that you
Yeah.
on the menu now, the pizzas that will
Mhm.
come out soon. So yeah, we are expanding, as to say, in what we are able to offer here, take away, and eventually probably take to people's home.
Wow, okay. Because you have, how many people could you sit here? I mean,
Well, I said we had 14.
yeah, but
12.
and including outside, because you have,
Well,
you have
that's-
a little
I mean,
mini terrace out there.
I guess you might ask us if there are any disadvantages. Our big disadvantage in taking this unit, we knew this when we took it, was that we don't have terrace.
Yeah.
So you only really have what's outside your shop.
Right.
So we created the platform
Platform,
outside.
You get 8 people there.
We can
So 8 people on the platform, then another table over there.
So
So,
you can get
probably 15 people outside,
Yeah.
and then during the day maybe 8 around the table here.
yeah.
So that's okay. Too bad.
It's okay. It's one of the it is one of the disadvantages of the unit that we took. But one of the advantages of the unit we took is that many of the others couldn't get a table like this inside.
Yeah.
So through the winter, we can still,
Yeah.
people can come in here in the winter and sit here. And interestingly enough, last summer, people were coming in here because it was 35 degrees outside,
And you
and
had
we
air
had the air
conditioning.
conditioning on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's worked very well. Both,
Yeah.
but it is we'd love more space outside, but you live with the space you
Yeah.
have.
When you first came, the community here was restricted in terms of size. It was mostly holiday makers who came to their homes and went away.
Yeah,
I tell this story about remember the drought we had, and when there was a big row started by some British person who must have known someone in the press in the UK, and one of the I don't know, was it the Sun or the Daily Mail or something, printed about this place in Sotogrande where the water is not there and it's terrible. So someone got upset at the town hall, and they said, well, the people in Sotogrande, they're watering their gardens and washing their cars, and they are not using that. They're using 3 times the allowance they have, which was I think 250 liters per day per person. But the issue was that they were dividing by the number of residents. By that I mean the people that live here year round, people that are empadronados, rather than 8,500, which is the people that come and go, the difference, which is now more or less what we have. I understand they calculated that from the rubbish that's taken out of Sotogrande, so they knew there was 8,500 people. So it's a lot, and that's the reason why anyway, it was a bit of a drama thing about that. But the community has moved and it's grown. I called the number of pillars. The school is one which has grown enormously, and you just have to see how the construction is going. More and more and bigger and taller and taller. Obviously the polo, but that's seasonal. Certainly stops around October and doesn't start again until Easter time. The golfers, do you see any golfers coming in here? I mean, they also come along.
yeah, we do. I mean, we have the amazing thing that we found when we opened Nonna Monda. On the day we opened it, we kept delaying the opening because we'd ordered all of this equipment, quite a lot of equipment that just didn't arrive. It would reach the border with Spain and then just go into the ether, and things disappeared. So leading up to our opening, we did quite a lot of social media, some of it embarrassingly amateurish, but we did quite a lot of...
That's the best, to tell you.
Sometimes it is, I think.
Yeah.
But we opened our doors on June the 10th, and nothing happened. We stood here for half an hour wondering if anything was going to happen. And then this wave just hit us of people who were just discovering Nonna Monda, and a lot of them were just discovering, at that time, Plaza Blanca, to be honest. And we had, the thing that struck us last year, we just have the nicest customers. And they come from every background. The polo players last year, we had a lot of polo players came specifically to Nonna Monda. Lots of the Argentinians are Italian Argentinians, so they love the idea of that. We have just a real mixture of people. But having been in Sotogrande for so many years, but during holidays mostly, I don't think even back then I understood what a unique place this is, what a unique group of people live here. We get Italians who come in who start screaming when they see the biscuits, because they're the biscuits they had when they were children, and the children's drinks that they see over there. So there's a real mix of clients, and we very, very quickly got like regular customers. People who were going out on their boats would come and order or send us a message for 12 focaccia sandwiches, and they would come in at 1 o'clock so they could be on their boat by 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Which, funny enough, they all disappeared at the beginning of
August. Yes.
And then they all came back at the beginning of September. It was incredible how it changed the people that we had at the shop, and then it changed back to mostly to the people that live in Sotogrande.
Well, those people went on holiday themselves, out to Sotogrande, and led it for the tourists.
But the other thing I think is really important for us here is the community in Plaza Blanca. Mostly, not everybody, but we all rely on each other. If one day we run out of ice, we'll go and grab some ice from Javi in the restaurant. when we ran out of glasses once, we ran down to L'Officina and they lent us glasses. And there's this tremendous community that we all rely on each other. And I don't think any one of us would be a success by ourselves.
Others,
It really is. And that community, you see the people move from breakfast at l'Opera, and then they come here for pick up a sandwich for lunch, and they'll be sitting outside Humble Crumble. So I think that when it comes to the people, there are people that walk out of the B zone and from the Kings and Queens, and then people driving from up on the Alto side. There's a problem with parking, but
Is there?
as we all know. But no, a real mixture of clients.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a village atmosphere, I think that's one of the things that Andrew really wanted. You know,
Yes.
I mean, when he came on my podcast, he was talking about wanting to have a butcher here and a fishmonger. And I thought, maybe you don't want a fishmonger and all of that. But it's the sense of community and that makes Sotogrande what it is. And it was dying for a place like this. I mean, it's clear that a place like Plaza Blanca with an establishment like yours, with the posh restaurant, with the officina, with the baker next door, with the other little restaurants, the coffee shops, will work. I mean, it's just that, because also, if this didn't exist, and it hadn't for many years, people have to go to the marina, to the port.
Exactly.
It's a little bit more of a
Yes.
way down.
Mm-hmm.
I was always, when Village Verde, for example, was being developed, I was asked to come and give some opinion and stuff. And the thing I really liked about it was that they were going to have a little plaza. And, the idea was to have a baker, maybe a pharmacy, which is another one of the big anchors here, of course, that people know this because of the pharmacy.
Yeah.
And that would have, may or may not happen. I don't know what they're doing, but it was crying out for this. And very soon it's going to be small for the
Yes.
demand.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter always said all this development, especially in La Reserva now, where you can buy a house for 10 million euros, and then where do you go?
Yeah.
Other than in the port, there is
Mhm.
nothing else in Sotogrande where, unless you come here
Yeah.
now, where I think there are, quite a diversity of businesses that complement each other.
Yeah. And he's sold out, I believe. I mean,
It is
Yeah,
completely
it's
sold out.
I've
completely
had people
sold.
asking me, could I help him to find a place? I said, no, and give him,
We had the black tie dinner last year, and not
I was
quite
away for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what came over me, but I, at the end of the dinner, after we'd done the auction and everything, I asked if I could have the mic. Andrew's vision for this was extraordinary. And just to take this on, anyone who hadn't seen what this was before it became what it is now, it took tremendous guts and tremendous vision. And I mentioned that after this dinner that we had. Carla and Andrew have done a fantastic
have.
job.
You're getting too small.
We are. We are.
You're getting,
Yeah.
but the problem is there's nowhere else to go.
Correct.
So,
Unless they have a little commercial centre in Villa Verde,
well, maybe.
in which case let us know.
Nonna Monda too.
Nonna Monda too.
Yeah.
You never lose the one here. So we've covered why Plaza Blanca is the place, because there is nowhere else. So tell us more about the concept. Nonna Monda is your grandmother?
My grandmother,
Right.
yes.
And that's the name, and you obviously have, being Italian, very family. You probably had Sunday lunches at your grandmother's all the time, like family lunches, which was
Yeah, you know
a big
what?
thing.
My parents were both working, so when we grew up with our grandparents, especially with my grandmother, so we were going to school, come back, go to my grandmother, have lunch there,
Yeah.
spend the afternoon, and then go back home.
It's a Mediterranean extended family.
Exactly.
Well, it's in the mountains,
So
though.
yeah,
Oh.
Hardly Mediterranean.
Okay.
so she's always been a very big figure within the family,
Yeah.
and she loved her food. She was very she loved life, and when we decided to open this place, we thought, what are we going to call it? And I said, what about my grandmother? Because she did love the food and she was amazing in what she did. So we decided to call it Nonna Monda. And then I called my mother, which is her daughter. And I said, we are thinking of calling it Nonna Monda, but we need to create a logo for the business. And she sent us a picture of my grandmother when she was probably 40, maybe my age, which is what then we used to create the logo. The figure is my grandmother in the
Okay.
mountain, however many years ago. And for me, it was very personal because it's just something that we created,
Yeah.
and that reminds me of her
Yeah, cool.
every time we're here.
What does authentic Italian mean to you? Because there are restaurants around here who call themselves Italian, not Italian. And you do have one in the port now, which is, I think, reasonably good. And anyone that goes in there tells me, it is, fine. It's above average in terms of being genuine. But what does Italian authenticity mean for you?
Well, Italian authenticity, we have the best product that we can find. We go from the buffalo mozzarella to the Parma ham to salamis and everything that we can source here or directly from Italy, from our suppliers, that makes that authentic, because we
Yeah.
don't sell anything that is not Italian. Everything that we make here, I do it. The chef that we have now is from Sicily. So we try to create the food from 0 to 10,
Yeah.
using all the best ingredients, all our knowledge in food, and then using the shop to sell it and to.
And the products you have here for sale, the one that you got exposed here, are they sort of favorites of yours, or ones that you think will sell well?
I think it's worth mentioning that. So last year in February we went to a food fair in Florence.
Okay.
650 producers from all over Italy.
Wow.
It was a complete eye-opener for me. Obviously, I love Italy. I've always loved Italy. I've traveled in Italy, but this was something else. They each have a booth the size of this table, 650, offering products from all over Italy. Extraordinary food, extraordinary packaging. I mean, that's the thing. I'm more on the design side than the food side. And on that trip, we had 3 days in Florence, and then we drove down to Naples. And from Naples, we went out to meet some of the producers that we were planning on having in the shop. And by doing that, we could go and actually check on the provenance of the food. And in Italy anyway, if it says it's made in Italy and it's in Umbria, it's and it's on a farm in Umbria.
Yeah.
We went across to Puglia, where we went to see the people at Moralia who provide our olive oil. We went to the farm where we get our fresh pasta or our dried pasta from. So that authenticity, I think, as well, comes from knowing the provenance
Yeah.
of the food, knowing the suppliers. We have one supplier who supplied some of our meat. Who we met him a couple of times at the food fairs. But the other thing I would say is, when we opened this, I knew what we were putting on the shelves because we'd ordered it and we'd
Right.
seen. What I just didn't expect, and I had no idea was going to happen, was the day that the cheeses and the meats arrived, and I was literally blown away. Well, Andrea knew exactly what was coming because he'd ordered it, and it's part of his history, and he grew up with all of
Yeah.
these meats and these cheeses. I actually didn't even know about his knowledge of these products. But when they came into the shop, I suddenly realized that this wasn't just packets and bottles and
Yeah.
boxes on the shelf. This was all about this, which you could walk into any deli in Italy and buy.
But that gives it smell.
Yeah, it does.
It
Yeah.
makes you salivate because you actually
Yeah, it
see it. You
does.
want some, and it's what makes it also cool,
He was beginning to hand over salamis to me, and I was neatly putting them on the shelves. And in the end, he was opening more and more boxes, and I was beginning to stack things one on top of the other, and I forgot about the nicely neat thing on the shelves.
So do you have customers that come and ask for certain products, or do they just mostly discover them when they arrive?
Well, we have regular customers that come, every Saturday, and they buy the mortadella, they buy the salami with fennel, or they buy their cheese, and some come and buy their olive oil whenever they come back from their holiday. So and lots of people come for the focaccias and the fresh pasta. But I think we have a very big established now customer base of our regular that come, and they know what they want and they know what they like. And then we also have a lot of people coming in and trying new things, trying the olive oil, try little things, try little focaccia, and then that creates, more people to
Yeah.
come and try.
But we do also have people coming in and saying, "Can you get me sausages from Sicily? Or
Oh, yeah,
can
for
you
sure.
can you get me?" And we can. We have
Right.
good suppliers. So yes, we can do that.
Good. The setting it up. For my sins a few years ago, with a couple of friends, we opened a coffee shop right on the border going into Gibraltar. As you come out of Gibraltar, there's that boulevard, and the second one in, we bought 2 units there. It's called House Grind, and we were going to be the next Starbucks. That was the idea. And we did our planning, and it worked. That the average sale would be €5.50. We needed 600 people a day to come and buy their coffee, and how many people go across? 10,000, 12,000 people every day. So we need 600 of them to buy, and then you get the tourists. But setting it up, the bureaucracy required, right down to the last day when the inspector came, and he had to find something wrong, and they didn't have the pedal and for the water. It had to be at this point.
Yeah.
It needed all that sort. Did you find it? Was it very difficult? Was it
To
a
be
breeze?
honest, we came to Sotogrande from England to open this beginning of January of that year, and we managed to open the place the 10th of June. So there has been a lot of going back and forth with the council,
So
with
6
the
months,
architect,
roughly.
yeah,
Yeah.
with there is a lot that needs to go in from the plumber, the contractor, the everything, and it's always, let's do tomorrow,
yeah.
but tomorrow it became 6 months, and then in the end we said we just have to open because otherwise we will be here all year waiting.
Never go
We
for it.
we worked with an incredible carpentry company
Yeah, they were amazing.
from Malaga.
They made this to measure.
Yeah,
Wow.
Literally, they built it in their workshop. They took it apart, so it arrived flat packed.
yeah, I
I've
remember.
never seen work like it. It was incredible. My
Yeah.
father was a carpenter, and I watched these guys, and they were just as good as my father was. They thankfully, I mean, that was,
And they put everything together in a week. Once he was here, it was fine, but it took quite a bit of time to put everything. And then, of course, the fridges and other things that we bought and delivered from Italy because we wanted them to be Italian. And takes time, and
Yeah.
you have to order them. So I mean, it took whatever time it took, but then in the end,
we just opened.
yeah, we just ordered.
That's so good. So actually not so much of a headache, because I think 6 months from coming here and getting it all done is not too bad.
Well, we had all the plans. So Andrew gave us the plan of the shop in September. So we worked with the architect from
Yeah.
September to December.
We did
So
a lot before we came here.
in January we were actually ready with the plans to go. So yes, it didn't take forever, but it felt like it was going to take longer than it should have had.
So what was the biggest challenge? The design, maybe deciding on how to do it.
No, I don't-
You had that vision.
Well, I think the biggest challenge happened near to opening, when we realised we didn't have any staff.
Oh,
Everybody who wanted to work was already working at one of the chiringuitos. So, and we finally managed 2 weeks after we opened to hire Marina, who is now our manager when we're not here. And we literally worked, and let's face it, I was frankly useless. I wasn't even sure quite how to use the coffee machine. I was completely
Do you
a
now?
rabbit.
It does now,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Kind of. So we worked literally 100 days, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
We worked 100 days without a day off, 3 of us through right the way and through to the end of August.
Yeah.
June the 10th, all the way to the end of August with just 3 of us. Um, and the success, it was crazy success that we didn't know that would happen. But we definitely didn't have the right number of staff last year. As soon as the Chiringuitos closed, we were able to hire more people.
Right.
And we now have 4 ladies who work for us who are really extraordinary.
These are the girls in red I saw the other
Yeah.
day. And yeah.
So that's Marina, Paulina, Triana, and Maria. Yeah, they are. It was one of the hardest things to get right, but having got it right, they have been a tremendous asset to the way we run the shop. They've been great.
Because of course, then, we started in June and it was already we were already in the season. July and August were crazy. But then you go through the winter and it slows down quite a lot. So summer is incredible. Sotogrande explodes, but from after Christmas, the weather was terrible.
Well, that was exceptional this year. I mean,
Yeah. But we kept them all on, so we are now ready for the summer again with 4 people instead of just the 2 of us with Marina.
You breaking even, I presume?
We got through the year without having to put any more money into the business.
Wow.
So we're pretty pleased with that.
Yeah. That's very good. Because I don't know how others are doing, but it takes a while to get traction, and then particularly a place that gets, you're not selling big stuff. You're selling, bottles of wine, bottles of oil, biscuits. So you need that regular people, clientele to come to make sure it follows through.
Well, it goes back to the pillars that we talked about. We need to sell the product off the shelf.
Yeah.
And that you have to sell that. I mean, we have amazing stories for each of these products.
Yeah.
I think they're amazing. The balsamic vinegar that's directly behind you, that's been in the same family for 300 years. Last year we had a bottle of 100-year-old balsamic, and the story I like to tell with the balsamic is the 100-year-old bottle that we sold to an American guy who was going to put it on his 50-month-old Parmesan. Cost an awful lot of money, but the story behind it is that the people who bought it from the great-great-grandparents who laid it down.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones who sold it to us, it was their great-great-grandparents who laid down the balsamic. That's a great story. It's all been in the same family for such a long time. So the products on the shelf, you actually have to sell. Andrea's sandwiches that he makes on the focaccia romana have become a bit of a legend. People hear about it and come and buy them. And then, as we said, the third pillar, which is the table, has become more and more popular. And to be honest, that saved us through the winter. I think without this, we would have needed to put more money into the business. But running up to Christmas in December, we had, a tape every other day. There was a tape, thankfully, right up until the 23rd.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to come back on the 20th. I'd already gone back to the UK, but Andrea had to stay for the last table on the 23rd.
Yeah.
What about marketing? I mean, you have to make yourself known. I know Plaza Blanca has done quite a lot, and little by little, there's word of mouth that goes out. Have you had to? You haven't put an ad in the newspaper or done anything like that, have you?
Well, we did the advertising on the big boards up near Lidl.
So as you come down from Milan, there's a series of boards.
Yeah.
And we took half of one of those boards, which if only Andrea's Nonna had known that she was going to be on a billboard in Sotogrande, I don't think anyone would have ever believed that. Yeah. But there she was in the middle of the billboard. We rely a lot on Instagram.
Yeah.
Faye does a lot of our, what's her, Sotobites.
Right.
So she does a lot of our Instagram posts. As I said, we've done a few amateur ones of our own. Well, that's really it. We haven't really.
I mean, we have a website and the usual Google search, but other than that, we haven't pushed anything out there other than
Are you
Instagram.
on TripAdvisor?
I don't think so.
No,
Get on TripAdvisor.
yeah,
That's the one that's ranks you very well,
yeah.
and AI reads it. So if someone's coming in and get an AI, and this is it's happening now, where's the nearest Italian restaurant you can offer me? And if you're on TripAdvisor, you will appear.
Oh, okay.
That's
Good
a sort
advice.
of a good
We'll
one.
be doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you get some recommendations here, because that's good if people say that they liked it, and it's doing very well. But yeah, marketing and building awareness is very important, and it's you have your regulars, you have the people coming back, and that's, as I remember. I still remember what to define marketing when I was at university, and I'm older than you. So, analyzing, organizing, and planning a customer's inputting resources with a view to satisfy a demand at a profit.
Yeah.
That at the profit bit is very important. At the
Yeah,
end, because
it
otherwise,
is.
why are you doing it?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the challenges of hospitality are the ones we all know. It's turnover, getting your product right, making sure no one's getting sick, all that sort of stuff. It's So have you got any stories? I mean, is there anything you want to tell your grandchildren about how this has all happened? Is it? Are you getting? Or is it too early now to say?
I guess it's probably we haven't had anything extraordinary happening in here. I mean, we have done some. When I say we, I have done some mistakes when I order food. For example, for Christmas, I've ordered the panettones.
Yes.
So to start with, I've ordered 50 of them, and then one of our suppliers said, "Oh my God, 50 are not going to be enough because Christmas is going to be very busy and you will need much more than that." So I went out and I've ordered 300 of them, to find ourselves at the beginning of December giving out panettones because
I bought one.
It's all.
I bought one.
Well, you should have been here closer to Christmas.
I
You would have
bought
got
the
one for
chocolate
nothing.
one.
But those are all the mistakes that we learn from,
Of course,
and then
yeah.
next year we'll do
Yeah.
it differently, and
I think one
that
thing,
we-
one thing I'd want to tell my grandchildren, there was a day where we'd probably done close to 90 days working here, and we'd had a table, and it was late in the evening, and I was downstairs putting another load in the dishwasher, and Andrea came down, and I think I moaned about being here at 11 o'clock at night. He asked me what I expected, and I did say to him, I didn't expect to be scraping other people's plates into a large bin and loading an industrial dishwasher at 11 o'clock at night, at which point he kind of told me to be quiet. I was in investment banking for over 40 years. I don't think I ever worked as hard as I did last year. So for my grandchildren, you should realize you can retire, but you better come back to work
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
So
And guess what? AI won't take over that job, but it will
No.
take over the banking job.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that's,
So,
yeah, that's true enough, for sure.
Any future plans for
Yes, we have
expansion?
a lot.
Yeah.
yes,
We have a lot. Now we have a chef. There are plenty of other things we can do. We would like to set up a different business from Nonna Monda, but with a chef, whether it's this one or another one, where we do more going out to people's houses and create a business where it'll be a separate business, but I know how good these chefs are, and if we can take them into people's houses, maybe use some of the product from here, but using the expertise that we have here to go to someone's home, I think that's something that we're really keen to do more of under probably a separate banner. But under the same banner, we have taken a little unit just around the corner, and we will be opening as soon as we can.
yes.
In Plaza Blanca.
In
Yes.
Plaza Blanca. It's not really even a unit. It was Pippa's office.
Oh,
We're
right.
turning into a.
Down the corridor there, down the.
Yeah.
We'll be opening a gelateria
Yeah.
in
Oh.
the coming months. In coming months. So we'll be selling ice creams through the summer. We found a great supplier of Italian ice cream, which we're very excited about that getting up and running. Tiny little unit, but we'll see how we do
That's
with that.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't Bella, didn't she have something there?
Bella last year had Bella had the other Bella
Yeah.
doing the ice cream. But we're not even sure if she's doing that again this year. But anyway,
So it will be different from, our will be the Italian gelato. But it's different from what she's doing.
Yeah, she's doing a healthy something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but
So we will have a big display fridge outside in the alleyway, and then we will sell everything from there, and then inside we will have our little workshop. But I think I'm very excited about it, and I'm sure it will be, hopefully, it will be another success.
fantastic.
A lot of people have asked us about doing wine evenings, which we just frankly haven't had the time to to get a sommelier here and trying all of the wines that we have.
Yeah.
So that could be on the cards, but we'll have to find the space and the time for that.
So in 3 years' time, where are you going to be?
On a beach.
On the beach.
In Italy.
Having sold it. Isn't that what people do? Create a business and sell it and go on? Okay.
Well, who knows? I mean, we do love Italy. We both love Italy, but we have the house here. I love Sotogrande, and through Nonna Monda, we met so many people that became friends.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's fun now that we have the staff to help us. It's fun to come in and be here and having the time to sit down with customers and have a conversation rather than running and just having the time to say hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
So hopefully in 3 years we will have another one somewhere else.
So what would Nonna Monda think if she walked in the door right now?
Oh, I think she would cry.
Yeah.
I think my mom said your grandmother would be very proud of what you achieved, and I truly think that.
Yeah.
There is something of her in here that reminds me of her every day.
I'm sure you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining me and in
Thank
your
you for
beautiful
having us.
establishment here.
It's a pleasure.
It's been a while I wanted to have you on, and we got you. So, yeah, thank you very much, and there you are.
Thank you.
Everyone listening to me, Nonna Monda, you must come down here if you haven't. It is a fabulous place. A deli, a place you can get something to eat, a place you can sit on this table, not necessarily with your own party, with other people and meet them as well. So come down and meet these two guys. It's great.